Get a sneak peek of what's here now and what's to come on the former Myrtle Beach Air Force Base. Coming up next on this morning's Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning with the Myrtle Beach Herald. We're focused on the Myrtle Beach Air Force Base Redevelopment Authority, and we're visiting with its executive director, Colonel Buddy Styers. Good morning, Buddy.
Good morning, Greg. Very
You
nice
don't hear
to see
Colonel
you.
a lot anymore, do you? Or you still do?
Not as much as I'd like to, but because I do miss the Air Force in my career. But that's in the past, and we're just going forward now.
Now, so it's not like a Marine where you're always a Marine.
No, I think it is. I think I'm always Air Force.
So you're always,
you know, to me, people want to call me Colonel is all right with me. Doctors are called doctors until they die. Judges are. So why not a colonel? I'm as much a professional, I think, as those other people.
Absolutely. It took a long time to become a colonel,
That's right.
I'm sure.
A lot of effort and a lot of sacrifices by my wife, Penny, and family. And obviously, I'm extremely proud of being able to accomplish that.
Oh, yeah, buddy. How long were you in the Air Force?
I was in the Air Force for 26 years.
Is that right?
Retiring in August of '92. Was stationed out in Las Vegas at the time we retired. And it's interesting, I say we retired from the Air Force because Penny will tell you that she was in the Air Force too for 26 years, 15 moves from city to city, and it was a great experience for us, and we wouldn't have given it up for anything.
Oh, yeah. But is that indicative of all military members? I mean, is everyone moving? You know, we had a gentleman, Jones E. Bolt, with us maybe 8 months ago, and it was fascinating to hear him talk about multiple moves, or anyone else who's been with us recently talks about a lot of moves. Dick Foltz, I think, even in the JAG Corps, had some moves there. Is that indicative of everyone in the military?
I think it really is, and I remember thinking, you know, I'm a graduate of Myrtle Beach High School and lived here when I first got out of college before I went in the Air Force. And I remember thinking that I didn't believe I could stand to be in the Air Force and have to move. You know, I'd missed Myrtle Beach too much. But Penny and I made a promise when we went in that each move would be a new adventure, and that's the way we would look at it. And it didn't matter where we were going, and we paid a price for that because our first duty assignment was out in the desert in California.
No.
And it was a bit of a shock to us, but we kept our promise that each move would be an adventure, and it was a great thing, and we loved it. And today, I think even our children admit that even for them, having to leave their friends and move to new cities and new locations was a great experience for them too.
Really? That's exciting. You know, and of course it's difficult after post-hoc, you know, to be able to look back on that and try to imagine. Now, is Penny a Myrtle Beach native as well?
No, Penny's from Winston-Salem. We met upstairs in the pavilion summer of 1961.
Is that right?
And, so we always knew when we retired from the Air Force we were coming back home to live, and we did, and we're extremely pleased that we made that decision.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, the next greatest thing that happened to me was the fact that I was able to get involved with the Air Force Base Redevelopment Authority, and you know, being retired Air Force, I think, was very beneficial to me in that role. And being a retired colonel, I think, was beneficial too. I'm not saying I got an awful lot of preferential treatment when I talked to Air Force people, but I do think it mattered, and I think it was beneficial to our community in what we've accomplished.
Absolutely, and of course you returned here in '92, so just a year before the Myrtle Beach Air Force Base was closed down permanently.
Yes, and you know, I remember thinking that I was in the 8th grade here in Myrtle Beach whenever they started building the base. The summer they started construction, and it broke my heart when Myrtle Beach came out on the closure list, but I think in retrospect, if you look at it, it was probably a real easy decision to close Myrtle Beach because it was a small base. It was only 3,900 acres. It only had 800 family houses. It was very limited room to expand. They couldn't bring in more weapon systems and more people, and because of that, I think it probably was easy. And I think even though there are people that think this is heresy for me to say this, I think the community is better off because it happened, and I hope truly that people never forget that those Air Force families lived amongst us for all those years, over 40 years.
Right.
They contributed to the community. They worked with us. They went to church with us. They were in the Boy Scouts with us.
Right.
And that was a wonderful thing. But now the base has the potential of just great benefit to our community since the closure.
Oh, truly, buddy. You know, you mentioned that aspect of 3,900 acres, which seems like a gigantic acreage being a small base. I think I saw you'd been the former base commander at both Nellis as well as Bolling Air Force Base. What would the geographic size have been of those two bases? Where were they? One's in Las Vegas, I guess.
And Bolling is in Washington, D.C., right directly across the Potomac River from National Airport.
Right.
Bolling was only 600 acres, but Nellis was 12,500, just the base itself.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, when you look around at the base closures, there's some of them that are tremendous, 40, 50, 60,000 acres of some Army post. Not many Air Force bases are that big. The Army posts are bigger.
Right.
But it was kind of easy, and of course we were very fortunate that we were able to make almost half of the base come to this community at no cost through what's called a public benefit conveyance, which is a great thing. The community could never afford to buy a 1,400 acre Myrtle Beach International Airport, for example.
Sure.
And the Horry Georgetown Tech received 75 acres in the Grand Strand campus for Horry Georgetown Tech.
Oh, yeah.
The city received almost 100 acres of parks and recreation land, the ball fields, the parks.
And golf course.
And the golf course. And that would not be possible except that the federal laws that govern base closure allowed for that benefit to the community at no cost.
Share with viewers how the Myrtle Beach Air Force Base Redevelopment Authority was set up. Obviously, is it done the same way in other states and other cities where base closures are occurring, and is it indicative in a similar fashion with multiple services? Would it be the same with the Army and the Navy? I mean, are the redevelopment authorities always set up the same way?
In almost every state, they're set up very similarly. There is a redevelopment agency, and in Myrtle Beach's case, it was set up in July of 1994. The law was enacted, and at that time, previous to that, there had been some base closures, and every community does it a little bit differently. Every state does it. I think the major intent was to hopefully, in every state, try to keep politics out of it as much as possible and concentrate on economic development. Create jobs to replace the jobs lost when the base closed, enhance the local tax base. And obviously the 3,900 acres of federal property paid no real property taxes to Horry County nor Myrtle Beach.
Right.
The entire base was totally within the city limits of Myrtle Beach.
Wow.
So this was a great opportunity in that right now today, if you look back to 1997, real property taxes generated by the base was almost zero. Today, it's in excess of $1.5 million a year.
No.
So that's tremendous. And of course, the future development of it is going to be tremendous. It's going to be many, many times that. The base lost 800 civilian jobs when the base closed. The military jobs obviously went to other military bases.
Right.
We right now have created over 1,500 jobs here. And when you think about those jobs compared to the Air Force jobs, all of those 1,500 jobs are Myrtle Beach residents, are Horry County residents. They live here, their checking accounts are here, they pay taxes, their cars are registered here. They are true members of the Myrtle Beach community.
Sure.
When I was in the Air Force, I kept my checking account here at the beach.
Is that right?
My car was registered in South Carolina. I didn't pay taxes, where I was stationed in all those places. So this is a great benefit. Like I said, I do not want us to ever forget those Air Force families.
Sure.
It was a wonderful thing for this community to have them here, and we have provided for the community a park out close to Kings Highway on the right as you enter the former base, called Warbird Park. It's a City of Myrtle Beach park, and we've put two of the airplanes that the Warbirds that flew out of Myrtle Beach, the A-10 and the A-7 are there. And we are in the process right now with working with the city to move the F-100, which was the first plane that flew out of Myrtle Beach. And we're going to move that to the Warbird Park also.
Oh, how exciting, buddy. That'll be tremendous.
It's a great thing, and it makes me feel good every time I drive past and see families out and fathers are showing their kids airplanes that perhaps they were involved with. A very prominent memory, too, is during Harley Week, I went by there, and there were about 25 Harley motorcycles parked out in front of those airplanes, and all of the riders were standing up behind them, and the guy was taking a big picture of those airplanes.
Oh, that is
It'll
wonderful.
become something, hopefully, that will be remembered and be a real focal point for what Myrtle Beach is.
Oh, it is. And, you know, so many of our viewers in the PD in southeastern North Carolina who come down here on a regular basis, just traveling down Ocean Boulevard of Myrtle Beach. They come to the terminus, they enter the former Air Force Base, and right there on their right is Warbird Park. It's fantastic.
And it looks real nice. It's very nice to be able to just walk through the park. We've provided benches and swings, and when we built this, we also built a focal point where you can actually sit and watch airplanes land and take off from Myrtle Beach International.
Yeah.
So it's a great thing, and people love to do that.
They are wonderful. Have you been out there, buddy?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Many
I've been
times.
out there as well. And Claire and I went out there and hung out on the bench, and there's a couple of them there that are positioned well to be able to just sit back and watch planes come and go.
Yeah. And if you, and I know you're familiar with Washington, D.C. and Reagan National, but there is a huge area off the north end up there, and you can go by there and there'll be 150 cars of people just hanging out watching airplanes.
You're right.
Come and go.
You're right.
And that will be, as Myrtle Beach International grows and gets larger and gets more traffic, same thing will happen here, I'm convinced.
Absolutely, buddy. You know, there's so many great things. We want to go review a little bit of the overview of the air base as it stands now, some of the construction that's happened over the last handful of years. And we're talking about 97, where the tax base is 0, and now in 2005, where it's north of $1.5 million. You've had fantastic growth. Obviously, this facility, a 12,000 square foot facility, which we were able to move 2 groups in, the TV station and the newspaper in here. It's been a magnificent boon for us. Divine Dining next door, and so many of the folks, the Sunbelt to Ben Arnold, I mean, just around the U.S. Army Reserve, just right in this little compound. It's incredible.
You know, I think back whenever we did that, and to this day, you know, one of the most proudest moments, I think, was when Fox 43 did relocate out here and helped us kick the thing off, Phil Pecord and Tofino's Bakery.
Oh, yeah, Tofino.
The Redevelopment Authority purchased 430 acres from the Air Force that includes this building and the rest of the urban village property that we've all heard so much about in September of 97. All of that property has been sold to private developers and public developers, DHEC, City of Myrtle Beach Police Department, City of Myrtle Beach Public Safety Facility, and all of that has been sold. We now only own 4 small parcels that actually we don't own it. It's owned by the Air Force. It's leased to us because of some contamination that was discovered as the base closed. The Air Force, of course, by federal law, is responsible for cleaning it.
Right.
And that's all we have left. And when we sell that, we're out of business. We have
You
no
are
more
kidding.
property.
I mean, there are only 4 parcels left.
4
and
parcels.
Every clean site has been sold by the Redevelopment Authority to private groups.
There were 14 contaminated sites that comprised about 45 acres. 10 of those are clean and have been deeded to us. And as you know, one of them, we have a lease with you on one of them that's about a half an acre.
Right.
But at some point in the future, we'll get title to that.
Sure.
And we'll sell that to you.
Oh, absolutely.
And we look forward to that. The Air Force has been absolutely wonderful to us. They're by far, I think, the most cooperative service as regards base closures.
Oh, yeah.
They've been good to us. They've helped us. They've made things happen for us.
Yes.
And this community owes a debt of thanks to them for being so cooperative. They're employees and the people we deal with are just fantastic to us.
And so many of them have such fond memories of their experiences here, and many of them hadn't even been here, but just recognize how important it was to the community and want to make things right and keep a great working relationship with the Redevelopment Authority, as well as so many of the folks like myself and others that have purchased buildings out here. And, you know, we still get folks come to the front door, see Valor in Combat there on the front door, and sends chills down some folks' spines as they talk about their memories of this building and others. It's amazing.
It is, and Myrtle Beach was a plum assignment in the Air Force. I would not tell you the truth if I said I didn't try many times to get stationed here, and I just couldn't pull it off. I would have come back gladly and to be a part of it, but and we get people stopping by our office every day that said, hey, you know, back in 1956, I lived over in family housing. My dad worked in that building over there.
Yeah.
And of course, the Redevelopment Authority has accomplished great things. The 4-lane divided parkway that goes through the base will be opened totally on 1 August. 1 September, the landscape contractor will show up and start putting the irrigation system in and the trees. And by December 30th, we should be totally complete with that 4-lane parkway. And for anybody that thinks about the fact that we now have a nice meandering 4-lane parkway that enhances economic development opportunities, it's only 200 linear feet longer than the old roadway. So
is that right?
It's a wonderful thing. And McCaffrey Interest, of course, out of Chicago, purchased 89 acres from us for right at $13 million last September. They will develop the Market Common Myrtle Beach.
Oh, yes. Let's see. We got a good overview of that right here. Absolutely.
They provided a full-scale model of what the Market Common will look like. It'll be comprised, by the projection, 700,000 linear square feet of commercial and retail space and 1,600 plus residential units.
That's the street level model we're looking at.
That's the street model level, and it's a fantastic looking model. It cost them almost $100,000.
Oh, come on,
to
buddy.
build that thing.
No.
They built it to take to Las Vegas, to the International Convention and Shopping Center.
Right.
And then they brought it back here and set it up. It's in my office. Any of our viewers that would like to come by and see why we are so committed to this vision of an urban village, which, of course, was established by the city of Myrtle Beach prior to the Redevelopment Authority even being established.
Right?
So we feel like that we are developing what the city wanted and what the community wanted. It's going to be a beautiful thing, and we're well on the way. The city and McCaffrey are working very diligently right now on a development agreement and some specific assurances that the city wants to make sure that things happen. Right now, the projection is that in September, October timeframe, McCaffrey will start digging holes and building buildings.
Tremendous. Wow.
They have 6 committed leases right now that are totally completed.
Great.
And they're working with 6 others that are just awaiting signature. There's going to be a great opportunity out here. The neat thing is that most of the businesses are from out of state. They're not even in South Carolina.
Is that right?
There are only 2 of them that I'm aware of that are currently in Myrtle Beach. The rest of them are from outside the state and outside in the nation. It's going to be terrific.
Phil Pecora's got to be thrilled. The Tofino's Bakery, which is so popular without that incredible influx of folks, people driving from miles around to come in here. It's to that deli bakery. It's an amazing location.
Well, when there's 1,600 families living within walking distance of him, right now there are actually 956 families, 800 in family housing, and Windsor Gate, of course, is 2 blocks from him.
Sure.
But when this happens, it will be a fantastic thing. And Phil, of course, took a chance. He got in with us and stuck with us. And I think he'll tell you today that his business is growing by leaps and bounds, and he has great plans for the future for himself.
Absolutely. Very definitely. You mentioned the base housing, the difference that's made on so many families, folks who live there full time and have made it home, as well as retirees that use it as in rental income and otherwise, and it has been magnificent.
It is absolutely fantastic. David Douglas and his partners took a chance.
Right.
Were able to, at the right time for the Redevelopment Authority, to purchase that property. The net that we received after we paid off the mortgage note to the Air Force for that property helped pay for a lot of the public infrastructure on the base. And otherwise, if it hadn't been for that, we may have had to borrow money and would have had to take greater risk. But it's worked out extremely well. As you said, lots of people live over there. I think you may know a couple. That,
yeah, absolutely. I pay a little something out there. That's
yes,
right.
You do. And they have sold, I think there were 800 homes. I think they've sold close to 500 of them.
They've sold 799 of them.
Is
That's
that right?
There's only one being rented now.
Is that
I know
right?
that for sure, yes. Now, of course, the gentleman Ed Hallberg and others who have purchased them from David and his group are in the process of fixing up to resell them, but David and his group are out with just one left.
Yeah.
Just one.
And it's been a great thing. And students live out there, policemen, firemen. It's been a terrific thing. And we just had a great relationship with those folks, and they've cooperated. Ed and his people too.
Absolutely.
Just do a great job. But speaking about the rest of the base, Lennar Homes, of course, purchased 500 acres, and they're in the final stages of starting the development of their project, which is adjacent to the Market Common.
Yes.
And then there is an additional 300 acres that still remains and is owned by the Ross family out of Greenville, North Carolina.
Right.
That hopefully there's going to be some news soon about that property being sold and development beginning out there.
Buddy, you have got to be thrilled just to see the excitement, of course, on so many faces, whether you're talking to Neil Wilson or any of the teachers, instructors, professors at Horry Georgetown Technical College, to know the impact for them, the opportunity in the nursing program or the allied health program. Surely the folks at Cathedral Academy and out there at the Bible College, Cathedral Bible College, so many folks that have really found this as their home and begun to make it a home for so many others. Just all the folks, if you come out on the weekend, see the people walking around the ponds or around the lake. It is unbelievable. And the Crabtree Gym and all the softball matches out here, you must be overwhelmed and really probably get chills down your spine.
I really
thinking
do.
About it.
I really do. I thought my Air Force career and finishing as I did would be the thing I'd be the most proud of, but I can tell you that what we've accomplished here for this community is fantastic. And I'm glad you brought up Horry Georgetown Tech and Neil Wilson. We supported Kent Sharples, Neil's predecessor, to get the public benefit conveyance of 6 of the base buildings and 78 acres, I believe it was, to convert to a Grand Strand campus. We have cooperated and worked with them. We contributed $750,000 to help convert the former gymnasium that was a part of the elementary school into classrooms and laboratories, and it's the most beautiful building you'll ever see if you go look at it. Then I discovered that I heard Neil make a presentation one time about the fact that in South Carolina there are over 6,000 nursing vacancies in the state. In Horry County there is a tremendous number of nursing vacancies. We had sat here with the former base hospital for almost 10 years. We had numerous contracts on it. It never worked. And I got to thinking that that might be a great opportunity to be able to convey that building to the college and then help them convert it into the allied health care facility that you're talking about.
Absolutely.
We did that. We actually gave them the building, and we contributed $3 million.
Wow.
Neil's, through the state system, is on the hook for almost $4 million. And we are right now real close to the design of the building, and if things work well, Neil should be going out for construction bids, we hope, sometime in the September-October time frame.
Absolutely.
With the intent, year after that, we would open it up in the fall and start the classes.
Absolutely. Georgetown Memorial Hospital and others have committed heavily, along with the
Yes,
Redevelopment Authority. The county stepped on board. A lot of folks want to make that happen and recognize the dearth of nursing needs here in the area.
Well, Neil's talking about 500 students and faculty in that building when it is ultimately complete. Yeah. And what I think about, right now, his capacity for RNs, for example, is only like 40 students a year that he can carry. Think about if that goes to 100 and those people come out and they immediately walk into jobs making $50,000 and $55,000 a year. They buy houses, they buy cars, they pay taxes. Their life style improves, the quality of life for the rest of the community improves. It's going to be a great thing for this community.
It is, truly, buddy. Thanks so much for being with us this morning, really making a difference.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina Peep with Colonel Buddy Styers coming up next. How many folks could spend 25 minutes with Buddy Styers and not hear him talk about his past presidency of Myrtle Beach Rotary or past presidency of Grand Strand YMCA? It's because those aren't the only things he's doing in his life. All the involvement out here. You know, we mentioned Nellis. We mentioned Bowling Air Force Base. We failed to mention he was the base commander of those two locations. Sit back and think about that. If you'd been the base commander of gigantic 12,000-acre facilities, wouldn't you want to be talking about it? It's not all about that to Buddy Styers. It's about redevelopment out here. Redevelopment Authority, think about that. 1997, 0 tax base out here. 2005, north of $1.5 million. All the development going on for the right reasons. There's a heck of a lot of folks that could have their hand in the cookie jar. They don't have it in there because they recognize the desire to serve the community in the right way, to make sure this land was taken advantage of in the right way, to serve a heck of a lot of folks. It served a lot of folks for 40-plus years in the Air Force. Now it's going to serve a lot of folks for many years to come. This community will be so much better for the Myrtle Beach Air Force Base Redevelopment Authority and Buddy and all the folks out there.